Former colleague and friend, Chris Angus. Chris, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited because I want to ask you a bunch of questions, but the first one that I want to ask is, what do you do?
Well, firstly, thank you very much and welcome. Yeah, it's great to see you again. So yeah, thanks very much. It's an interesting question actually. So currently I am at 8x8. I am the Vice President of Contact Center Engagement in EMEA. That role really means, it's a strange role really, but ultimately I work with our sales teams, our customers, our product teams, and my overall responsibility is to try and increase the adoption of how people are using our contact center applications. And that might mean I work with customers who are using us already, and I might talk to them around how it might better use our software. And it might mean I go out to our prospects and soon-to-be customers and help them understand how better to work their businesses in line with our software to make them be more efficient. It's a bit of a hybrid role, but ultimately it's really much driven around like the CC space and our customer space and making our customers superheroes really. So yeah, I've got a strong background in that area. I've done a lot of work in sales and building teams here, and this is a new direction for me. So but so far I'm enjoying it.
I love that because with every, I guess, like infrastructure of a company or organization, it's like there's so many different facets that you need to put together to actually deliver a great customer or employee experience. And so I think it's wonderful that you are able to provide just insights and guidance for customers or partners even to make sure that things work smoothly, because I know day-to-day operations sometimes there can be dumpster fires arise, right, that you don't expect. And I don't know if you mentioned where you're located, because I know I'm in specifically Utah, and I believe that you are, I don't know specifically where you are in the UK. I know that you're in the UK.
I mean, yes, I am in the UK, and obviously most Americans think UK and Europe are the same thing. But yes, I'm in the UK, so I'm in a place called Hampshire, which is about 60 miles like southwest of London, but typically it's the southeast of the UK. Lived here pretty much all my life. I'm local to the London office for 8x8. I'm pretty much working from home these days, but it's been many, many years travelling in and out of the country, in and out of London. The nice thing about the UK, obviously we're much smaller than the US, so in the UK, a lot of the bigger buying decisions are made from, like, you have to look in the eye, you have to go face to face, shake hands, white to the eyes. But we're such a small country, I can be from one end to the other in probably an hour and a half with on a quick flight. So locale is not an issue for us. And again, I can be in mainland Europe in probably 2 hours on a flight too. Maybe 12 hours to San Francisco, but that's less frequent these days. But I'm at bottom end of London, and it's good fun. And so, like I said, we can travel around the country pretty smoothly in the UK. So yeah, it's easy.
So I guess throughout your career thus far, has there been a memorable moment for because you've been at 8x8 for a good minute. So, and like even before that, what has been a most memorable moment that you can share?
I think, I don't want to be cliche, but there's been so many. I think I'm lucky enough to have quite a few I look back for. They were like life-changing decisions or decisions I made or I didn't make at a certain time. I go back to maybe my early 20s when there was like some changes in opportunity. I decided it was a really good idea to get on board and kind of help develop a contact center and start a call center for outbound demand gen and supporting business in that way. I learned quite quickly how not to run a business, but it also allowed me to understand how call centers worked. And I worked with a lot of organizations around the UK. I learned a great deal then, and that in turn actually led me to get an opportunity within 8x8. So if we fast forward a few years, that was one of the reasons why I ended up at 8x8, and one of the areas where I've been able to develop my kind of area of expertise these days. So who would have known back then in my early 20s, that was a decision which was kind of on a knife edge. You fast forward 15, 20 years, it was probably the best one I ever made.
So throughout your career, so I think of like the word failure as like giving up, throwing the towel. Has there been a failure or attempted failure that has later on led you to success in your career or in life?
I mean, obviously I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to say I've had no failures at all. There must have been many, many over the time. One of the things which I think I use this quite a lot when I talk about go-to-market strategy and transformation within 8x8, and I talk to teams about this and use it as part of like my training mechanisms. Within 8x8, we're very much channel focused. And for a period of time, when I was running small business and commercial, we were very much direct driven, and that allowed us to control the sales cycle. And we were very successful. I'm not embarrassed to say we were consistent, hitting numbers all the time. It was great. And then as we started to shift towards a channel, we were probably the last team to truly adopt that, and that was probably my fear to adopt the channel. And we started to slip backwards and lag behind, and we missed a couple of quarters. And one of those, it was a real new, like, kick in the teeth for me. Like, this is really new territory. Like, I'm not sure what to do here. And it was that kind of like those like couple of quarters of failure where I missed the number, which really forced me to reevaluate our strategy for going to market within the commercial EMEA phase, to adopt the channel basically. And we went on a completely different trajectory. We really embraced the channel, completely changed our pathway and our go-to-market strategy. And after that, it was very successful afterwards. But again, it was a short-lived failure, as you put it. But it was very much a rude awakening, because I was kind of holding on to I know best, and that allowed me to realize actually, if you listen to people around you and kind of bring in outside counsel, you can probably move things faster. So I learned a lot there, not just on how to change our strategy to earn more business, but actually how to look at external influences to give you advice and kind of guidance. And that's one of the things I'm pleased I went through that position, because it's helped me ever since. But yeah, that's probably one of the things I can probably point to more recently.
It sounds like you have a lot of grit. Me, I know, other things about you, about like, just because I like not CrossFit per se, but I like lifting weights, and I like, not a runner. I can do biking, but like weightlifting I can do, but CrossFit is like almost like being a superhero or like a super being. Is there one thing, which I think I kind of alluded to it already, but is there one thing about you that people don't know that you do as a hobby or as a passion outside of, your day-to-day work?
I like to walk on my hands. So yes, like as you alluded to, like I over the lockdown period and kind of like in that area, I was looking at different areas to keep fit and get into the gym. And I fell in love with CrossFit, which is really, really weird. And I think the main thing for me wasn't just getting into the gym and working out and kind of that kind of side. It was actually, there's a competitive outlet. I was finding it hard working from home, being in the office all the time, and that kind of really like in-person competitive fight, which is a big part of who I am as a character. I was finding that transition to work at home was a hard transition as an emotional state more than anything else, if I'm honest. And that's people forget that actually. It's not just about, is it more convenient? There's things you forget. And even though someone with a lot of experience, I found it hard to transition. So the CrossFit side of things wasn't just a gym thing. It was a good competitive outlet. I was able to compete in the gym, and then I was able to get in better shape and all that kind of fun stuff, which is great from a kind of a personal perspective. And then from then we've been a bunch of competitions with friends from the gym. We've done team competitions. I've probably done 5 or 6 over the course of the last couple of years, and local competitions and stuff like that. So, but yeah, most importantly, it was more. It's a great way to control your health and keep you disciplined. But it was for me, it was it was a good competitive outlet outside of the work environment, which was more important, I think.
Yeah, and community too. Like I know that there's competitions are like, it's almost like stadium level, right? I think this year in the US it's going to be, I want to say in Alabama at a college university or a football stadium. So like they're big, and it's really fun to watch like how much weight you can actually like. It's, again, you guys are superheroes or super like human beings, but yeah, it's a really
they are.
Yeah. So I know for me, like there's podcasts and books and like, just like, I guess like seminars. Are there any like pieces of work that you have maybe acquired that has made a big like impact of your life? Like, has there been a podcast or a book? Or I know for me, it's like, I just got this book called Tools of Titans that have like, they're basically like life advice or career advice of like world performers and stuff. And like that has like kind of opened my eyes because it's different perspectives. Has there been like a book or a kind of or a movie too? A movie could be, I feel like a movie could impact someone in their life a lot.
I mean, I guess so. Any form of like artwork which is like informative has an ability to influence how you think about things, I guess. So, I think the book there's a book I've read a bunch of times and I've gifted out maybe 3 or 4 times, which is Shoe Dog, which is the field art story for Nike, guess most people have read and heard of. But for me, that's something I've read probably 3 or 4 times, as I said, and I've gifted it out so many times. It's a really good story of kind of the pathway they took, they weren't ready for.
Mm-hmm.
But so many knows, like most people probably won't know that Nike wasn't Nike. Nike was Blue Ribbon Sports before it was Nike. He was like signing contracts before he even knew it existed. Like if you look at like don't let perfection get in the way of progress, that's like that defines that kind of thing. And like going out for runs to clear his mind was incredible, and just being rejected by all these banks, like from time to time, still driving it forward. I think it's a if you look at the American story, that he really embodies that. And I think if you look at just look at the brand now, it's absolutely enormous, but the story before that is incredible. It's really humbling to look at like hard work and parents and not having an ego and not trying to buy all the great stuff to start with and working in a shoebox to try and build out in an organisation. It really resonate with that hard work and kind of like drive and personality behind it. So from time to time I'll try and read that, which I quite like. It's a really good story, and like I said, everyone knows who Nike is. So yeah, that's for me. That's probably the one I've used this phrase a lot. I've referenced it a lot. I've done a bunch of these interviews in the past where I've gone, that's the one. Like if you ever want to know what book to read, if you haven't read it, go and read it. You will not put it down.
Yeah, I don't think I will have to look at that because I don't think I've read that book. So I'm going to look at that
goodness.
after our. Yeah, I know. I'm maybe a little embarrassed that I'm admitting that, but again, like it's a growing opportunity here. So I'm going to definitely look up that book. I guess speaking on that, if you had a billboard that reached billions of people all over the world, I guess what it could be a phrase, a paragraph, a letter, a word. What would you put on it?
It'd be a swear one, I think. Like internally, most of the things is like, Chris, like, can you just tone down the language on this meeting, please, or can you maybe button up and not swear as much today? So yeah, I think that if it was trying to like to present myself as a personality, it might be a swear word with 4 letters. That's what it wouldn't be. That would certainly grab attention, and maybe some like small like sub print afterwards to force you towards a brand or something like that. I think that would be. It might cause raise some eyebrows. It might break some branding rules, but I think for me that would be something which would be, it'd be you wouldn't miss it, that's for sure.
No, you would not. They say when you start a paper, you need an attention getter. So I guess like that would be definitely an attention getter.
It would very much be tabloid, not Broad Street, that's for sure.
You could have this word, but like have it like blurred out a bit so people like get the concept. So then it is like approved in every country, because I know like different countries are kind of they're a little bit they want to make sure that they're buttoned up there.
You have to be edgy. It'll be different, right? So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun at least.
Yeah. Oh no. And so with that, I guess what thing have you done that has changed someone's life? Like it could be a piece of work, it could be anything, but what have you done that has changed someone's life that you didn't expect?
Crikey. I like this to be like really like really really deep and really meaningful, and but it might not be. It's a tough one, right? So like, one of the things I really enjoy is this might sound cliche. I do enjoy like working with people, and so one of the things with 8x8, one of the programs we generated was a graduate program. So it was taking people that gone to university, studied something, got a degree, perhaps wanted to change track afterwards. So you might have gone to university, got a degree in physics or history or maths, and then decide, actually, I don't want to pursue that anymore. And maybe you looked at sales as an option. So we created a program where you could come into 8x8 as an early adopter into that program as a graduate. We'd teach you how to be a salesperson. We'd teach you the basics. But you had a transferable skill set. And then from that, you would work your way through the ladder if possible. And now I'm really, really proud to say I've got people that, some of our top sales guys, some of our teams in EMEA have gone through that program. So at one point or another, they'd finished university and were not unsure of what was next for them, done a degree, tons of debt, had decided, actually, I have no idea how to turn this into a job. What am I going to do? And now they're earning good wages, they have great jobs, great career paths, because they decided to take a punt on a sales career, ended up in my lap in some way. So I'm not saying I changed anyone's life. I'm not that kind of arrogant to say that. But they're the things I look back on and think, I'm really proud, and I hope in 20 years' time, when these guys are SVPs in other organisations, they look back at some point and think, I'm so glad I went to that assessment day and took a punt on that opportunity. So they're the things I might look back when I'm old and retired and have less hair than I do today. I might look back and think, yeah, I'm proud of that involvement I had in that person's life.
Again, it's not the monetary paycheck, right? It's the at the end of the day, it's like the paycheck that you've like added value and impacted someone's life. And I think the Pathfinder, that program, is huge because careers aren't linear. Like, yes, you have to get a bunch of certifications to be an engineer, but like if you get to a certain point of your life where you're like, I want to go into sales, I feel like there should be opportunities for you to make that pivot, right? Like, yes, I think that there's always an option of, like, I was speaking to someone who was a project manager his entire life, and he wanted to get into engineering, and now he's an aerospace engineer. So it's like, again, I don't know if it's completely a 180, but it's like you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. And he never thought he would be an aerospace engineer, right? But I think with his background of like being creative in a project manager role has really set him up for success. So I think with the Pathfinder program, it gives the opportunity for people who don't really have a traditional, like, you know, like path that they went to be able to take their talent stack and like really, well, I guess, like help the team, right? Or help, I guess, because it's sales, so help the customer.
It allows us to look at like people who wouldn't normally look at, right? No one goes to college to be a salesperson. No one, like, if you go to business degree or marketing degree, that's one thing. But there are so many people that go to college or go to school and do projects which they're not quite sure what they want to do, but they have a skill set and an ability to learn. They can talk to people, they can solve problems, they can understand information, and they can be personable. Those sorts of things are really, really critical when you're looking at public-facing roles. Yeah, I think those people sometimes get left behind. So it's really important for us to like invest in those projects so we can help people. Also for us as an organisation, it allows us to spot some talent which we probably would have missed in other worlds.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think with my next question to you, if someone's listening, right, and they want to learn more about the Pathfinder, what are I guess, to take a step back, because you've been in the field for a long time, or a good amount of time, but what bad recommendations have you heard? Yeah, what bad recommendations have you heard that in the field that you are in that people can like kind of get insights on, so then they can be aware of that?
I think like there's an old adage around sales where they look around, sell me this pen and those sorts of things. That's in the past these days. So I think now it's around, like, for me personally, it's personality and problem solving. You need to be yourself and be unapologetically honest, right? Just be yourself. Be honest with who you are, because if you turn up to an interview or a process and you're trying to be someone you're supposed to be, it's really hard to keep that up. And you'll get found out at some point, and usually that doesn't end well. So if you be yourself as early as you can, and get accepted for who you are as early as you can, you'll probably do really, really well. And you might not get every job you go for, but what you will do is you'll get the job you're right for, and that's right for you, which will give you long-term success. They're the things that I think would be advisable. There's other areas where people will ask you, how much you want to earn. Never answer that question. Because you might sell yourself short. Right? That's a really hard question to answer. My advice is usually just hold back from those kind of things. But the most important thing you can do is just be yourself, be honest with what you want to achieve, and be upfront. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be direct, because most likely the person interviewing you will respect your directness and your candidness.
100%. You'll thrive if you're your true self, right? I mean, obviously you want to put your best foot forward, right? You want to do your best from a work ethic perspective, but I think the most that you can show your like character traits, right? Like what you believe in, what you're passionate about. I think that to your point, that will set you up for success in the long term. Like the short term, it's gonna probably, if you pretend to be someone that you're not,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It does not work. Yeah. So
it doesn't work.
Totally. Yeah. So 2 more questions. What are you cooking up behind the scenes, if you can share? If not, then you could say I'm on LinkedIn, or, but what is there anything that you can tell us that...
The things that we can talk about within it really are around, look, it's really clear that what the market wants is mobility within the contact center and automation. And they're the things we're working on. You look at if you look at UC, you look at CC, and look, they're so different in a lot of places. But there's so many people in a business who perhaps act like a UC, but need some of the routing and the reporting of a CC. That kind of like mobile worker might be accessing it from a mobile phone, walking around an office. Maybe they want a car garage forecourt. Maybe they're a salesperson. You're walking around. So that mobility within the contact center is really, really important for us. And the automation piece. I mean, we hear AI and everyone thinks bots, bots, bots. That's not just AI. AI is around decision-making processes within the business. It's about making people's jobs easier internally, routing things to places in the right area like fast, making sure that you as a user can get access to information quickly, making sure that your summarizations are fast. So they're the ways which you use AI, which doesn't mean you need to put a bot process in place. So they're no surprise. They're things that you should be working on if you're in our space, and we are. So I guess they're the things I guess we want to make sure that it's really, really known that they're there, and it's not something which you're probably not aware you need them, but you will do pretty soon.
I get so frustrated when people are like chatbots, AI. It's like IVRs, like and just it's basically like that was big 10 years ago, and I think people need to understand that like AI needs to start internal first. I mean, yes, external, great. Like I think for me, I use the example of like when I broke my vacuum, very expensive vacuum, I like had to call, 1-800 number, right? And I could tell the gentleman on the other end wasn't understanding what I was saying. Could be a language gap, could be something, right? And I think a big thing is we flipped on the video, right? He sent me a link to do a video because I was like, I have no idea what piece this is. Like, I think it's like part of, anyways, it was interesting, like communicating broken vacuum. Didn't think that was going to be a thing, but it was. And so we hopped on a video, showed him with a piece, and he was like, got it. I will get that. Like, it was under warranty, right? So he was like, I'll get that reordered, get it sent to you. And it was like sent within like under 5 days. Anyways, it's just like the fact that it was able to solve it in that time frame. Cause I've had another instance where I had to call a contact center about like probably a dozen times. And I felt like a parrot at this point, like repeating myself because there was again, I didn't ask the direct question being like, do you guys have any like capabilities, like AI capabilities, right? Like I was just frustrated, but it would have solved, like I would have not been upset or maybe made the other person nervous 12 times if they had some internal processes that had AI. Cause like, to me, I'm like, that's super important when you have to like, when people are upset on the other end. So I think that that's awesome that you guys are doing that internally. And I will say this, you guys, the integration piece, I can't get in, like the UI, UX, all the above is you guys get that because a lot of the time, like I will pull my hair again. I think I've been like, spoiled on the contact center side, but like, I will say when things aren't mobile, you can't like, it's hybrid. Like people are traveling all the time. People are doing, they're multitasking, right? Or they're in a different environment that doesn't have, the right like internet cord. So you need to like move quickly. And so it's awesome that you guys are focusing on that too. Anyways, not to like, this isn't sponsored, right? But this is just how I feel.
One of the key things, right, we talk about this a lot. You have to, if you're an organization which is customer focused, your customers where they choose to be met. That might be in a chat room. It might be a web chat. It might be a bot process. It might be email, WhatsApp, SMS, telephone call. We service so many demographics as an organization or as all business around the world. You have to be able to offer a pathway to your service team in a way which they're comfortable doing that. So you, as someone who's tech savvy and who's up on all the technology, you have an expectation of how you're supposed to be serviced. But my mum, your mum, dad, they might not want that process. So we offer out 8x8 the ability as an organization to service the whole demographic in a way they choose to be serviced. That might be in hours, it might be out of hours, it might be mobile, video. That's the important thing. The important thing is offer solutions where your customers can contact you in the way they choose to be contacted.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I could talk another like 20 minutes about it, but like again, it's a passion. We'll call it a passion. So last question, if people want to find out more about who you are, and what you do and like where you're going to be next, what's the best way that they can find out more about you and your work?
Well, obviously, yeah, you go to LinkedIn. So it's Chris Angus on LinkedIn. That's the best way to contact me directly. And obviously, I'm 8x8, so you can come through the 8x8 website. And we have a wonderful team who can service your inquiries and your opportunities. If you want to talk to me about a bit more, then come talk to me. And also, if you're in the UK, I'll be at DTX Manchester on the 22nd, I think, of March. So you can pop along and say hello. I'll be there on the stand. So. But ultimately, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach out to me. It's all open. Ping me a note, say hello, and we'll have a chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for your time. And again, it's great that you're across the big, I guess, what do they say? Across the big pond? Is that's still like?
Yeah, it's still a pond. Yeah, still a pond. A really big pond. Still a pond.
A really big pond. Anyways, well, thank you for your time, and hopefully we cross paths soon, which we will.
Yeah.
We'll virtually
Thank
or
you
in
so
person.
much. It's always a pleasure, Christine. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.